Hey guys, for this week's podcast, I thought I would tell you a little bit about my NaNoWriMo experience. You're probably still trying to figure out what NaNoWriMo even is. I had no clue what it was before I got involved in it. It stands for National Novel Writing Month, so it's not like an abbreviation letter to letter, stands for the 4 words. It is an event held in November that encourages writers to write 50,000 words in 1 month, in the month of November, which there's 30 days in November, right? Pretty sure there is. Yeah. And my sister came to me at the end of October. It was probably the middle of the last week of October or something like that. And she came to me really, jumping up and down excited about this idea that she wanted to join this big event. And I was like, what in the world are you talking about? So she tells me all about it, and the more she's telling me about it, the more I'm intrigued. And there was just this spontaneous moment where I looked at her and just said, "You're on." I don't know why I said that. I honestly don't. But I don't know if it's just the competitive side of me said, hey, whatever you can do, I can do better. But it just kind of happened. Next thing I know, she's dragging me into it, telling me about the website and how to sign up and all this stuff. So the simplicity of the website is, they have all-around events, but during the month of NaNoWriMo, once you set up an account, you can submit the number of words you have for your whatever project you're writing throughout the month, so you can see your progress and your estimated daily goal so you can finish on time. So I believe the required words per day to finish by the 30th was around 800 words or 600 words, I can't remember. And I thought, okay, that's not too bad. And it wasn't until I found out how long 800 words was. It's actually more than you'd think. It's probably, 4 to 10 paragraphs, maybe 1 or 2 pages of writing, maybe more, depending on your font size. And it wasn't until after I signed up that the adrenaline wore off, and I thought, maybe this wasn't a good idea. But I was like, you know what? I signed up. I'm going to do it anyways. Well, I don't really know what happened. I kind of hit the ground running. I had this idea for a long time of this book I wanted to write, and I'm just not an avid professional committed writer. I just kind of do it as a hobby. And I had this idea for a book, but I had no idea the middle section of the story, and I just had a beginning. I didn't even have an ending. I had no clue where it was going to go with the story, and it changed a lot throughout writing from the original idea for the story to what it is now. But within a couple days of brainstorming with my sister, really just one night of brainstorming with my sister and a couple days of trying to figure out the rest, I figured out an entire plot for a full book. Still not sure how I did it, but I just wrote and wrote and wrote at the ending of October. So once NaNoWriMo started, I had scenes plotted and planned out. So I didn't have the scenes written, but I had an outline for each scene that I wanted to happen, which made it so much easier in the writing process because I could just write, and it was pretty great. It wasn't until I realized I was going on a cruise in the middle of November. It was a 5-night cruise, and I was like, great. How am I going to be able to enjoy the cruise without stressing over this NaNoWriMo thing? I ended up having to write, I think it was 1,000 to 1,500 words a day compared to the average per day, in order to get enough words done ahead of time before the cruise to make sure I still finish on time if I skipped a full week. Although I did write on the way down to Florida to the cruise, and I got a few thousand words done. But other than that, it was a lot of late nights of writing and exhausting, and I found out the best way to do that was just to stick some headphones on and listen to soundtracks of The Hobbit from Spotify, and I learned about a thing called word sprints. It was a thing on Twitter. I also got a Twitter account when I joined NaNoWriMo. I don't know why. just felt like it. And of course, I used the name Shipwreck Sam. And I don't know, I found out the word sprints, and turns out tons of writers will come together on Twitter, and they'll sprint from a certain time to another, say 5:10 to 5:30, and people will submit the number of words they got in that time and see who got the most words done. This was the best tactic for getting words done, and I would recommend this to anyone trying to write on a deadline. Give yourself a short time period and write as fast as you can, and keep on doing those sprints and trying to break your record every time. It'll really get you writing, because you stop worrying about editing and what you're writing and you just write, and then you've got stuff done. And that's better than nothing if you just worry about writing. So word sprints really helped. I did some sprints with my sister, and that really got me writing, because she's an actual writer and she's a fast typer, and I think she beat me whenever we do it, or I came really close. But she still beat me. Anyways, it was about halfway through, probably after I got back from the cruise, where, I don't know, everything just kind of seemed daunting, and wondering, am I even going to be able to finish, because there was a bit of a lull where I was running out of stuff to write, and that's when I had to sit down and come up with more scenes for the book. I also started working on other books and other stories that I had ideas for long time ago, and so the book itself that I did is about 35,000 to 40,000 words, because I worked on other stories as well. But in the end, I did make it out with 50,300 words, and I'll tell you, it was a pretty amazing feeling, and still is, to think I wrote a novel in a month. And I'm not even, a committed professional writer. I mean, I kind of like to be. Not, a full-time writer, but I want to finish and publish the book I wrote during NaNoWriMo. I'm in the editing process right now, and that's a daunting thing. That's more daunting than NaNoWriMo, I'll tell you. The editing process, it is no fun. Trying to figure out the plot holes and any gaps and grammar errors and all that. Once again, thankfully I have a writing sister to help me out with that. Overall, it was a really great experience, and it was a great way to connect with other writers and really encourage each other to write. I would recommend it to anyone thinking about doing a novel or needing help writing a book. There were even local events being held by NaNoWriMo across the U.S. I don't know if it was in other countries, but I know they had areas locally, near me, where you could go and meet with other writers, that were participating in NaNoWriMo that lived near you. I never went to any of those, but if I go to join NaNoWriMo 2015, I might do that and meet some other people. That would be fun. But I definitely would recommend it to anybody thinking about it. They do have a website, they got a Twitter, so go check it out. If you listen to this entire podcast, I just like to say I really appreciate it. And let me know what other podcasts you want me to talk about. In future podcasts, what you want me to talk about, different subjects, my life experiences, my opinions, things like that. And I will see you guys Sunday.